Welcome, welcome, welcome back to the Sacred Roots podcast. I am so happy to be recording a new podcast episode, to be sitting with you in your living room again, to be spending this time together because it's been such a long time. I guess in the past year, I was pregnant, had a baby, went through a whole initiation, death, rebirth journey, and I was really focused on my family. And it is time for me to come back out of the darkness, out of this winter season that was an 18 months winter season for me, and to share all the things that I want to share with you in this podcast. So I am so excited that we're going to connect again through this podcast, speaking about ancient mysteries, ancient wisdom, sacred feminine spirituality, soul mysteries, how you can reclaim your feminine energy, step into your purpose, and live in true soul alignment. Welcome back. I am so excited. So today we are going to talk about the resurrection mysteries because the past weekend it was Easter, and because I am in my own resurrection, and so I thought it would be the perfect topic to come back together and to unravel the truth behind Easter, the resurrection, what this actually represents, and what this ancient wisdom is trying to teach you for your modern life. What this is trying to teach you about the cosmic energies that are present right now, the cosmic invitations that you are receiving, that you might be sensing in your life, in your business, in your relationships. And so, as you know, and you might have experienced with me already in this podcast, I love to dive into this ancient wisdom and make it accessible, understandable for you. And this is, of course, something that we dive very, very deep inside my mystery school. So this is giving you a small taste of what we do inside the Sacred Roots Mystery School. So let's have a look at what the word resurrection actually means. This is an old Latin word, or rather it finds its roots, its etymological roots in Old Latin. I don't know about you, but I studied Latin at school. It was not my preferred class, let's be honest. But I do have a good memory from it. And so now it's interesting, of course, that I'm studying ancient mysteries to see these Latin origins in the words that we use in French and in English. So re in ancient Latin means to come back, to be back, to be again. So it's a repetition, right? Re means again, back. Surgere is a verb in Latin that means to rise, to spring up, to surge. There are so many similarities between English, French, and Latin, actually. And resurrection, so the surrection comes from surgere, and the shun, it's the action, it's the process of doing it. So resurrectio in Old Latin actually means to rise again. So the resurrection is actually that. It is to rise again. So it is suggesting that there's a moment where we weren't rising. And I always love to bring these teachings back to nature because the flowers are rising again. The leaves are rising again out of the trees. The sun is rising again earlier and earlier in the morning. Nature is resurrecting. It is waking up from its long sleep that it experienced in the winter. And so Easter is, of course, that celebration of that resurrection, of that return of the light, of the life force of the sun. And when you know about ancient wisdom, you see that in many ancient civilizations, the sun was really representing our spiritual essence, the divine. I have recently read a fascinating book from Dolores Cannon where she takes a lot of people into past life regressions. And sometimes they go into past lives, sometimes they go into middle lives. long story short, what came out of that book is that there were a lot of souls saying that we came from the sun. So it is no wonder that in the winter, when there's less sun, we feel less alive. We are more tired. We have a seasonal depression, maybe, because the sun is who we are. It's our essence. It's our life force. It's where we come from. So maybe this can explain why we feel so connected to this giant star. Because the ancient Egyptians, they said that the sun represented God. And many ancient spiritual systems say that the sun represents God, the divine. Maybe it is our home. Who knows? And so now it's really this return of the sun, the return of the light, the return of the life force energy, because we were in the winter. And there's two very important things that I want to share with you in this podcast episode. So let me gather my thoughts, because sometimes I get excited and I really want the message to come through for you. So one thing at a time. Let's begin with Easter. So Easter falls on a different date every single year. This year it was Sunday, the 20th of April. And Easter celebrates the resurrection of Jesus in the Christian. I mean, it's a Christian religion, but it's also a lot of sacred feminine spirituality, and the new age world and the new spiritual world also feels connected to Jesus. So for me, Jesus is much more than the Christian faith, because only a little bit of his teachings were brought into the Bible. There's so much more that he brought into the world, and that is now being put under the spotlight and spoken about. And so if you know, of course, about his story, you know that he was crucified and then died for 3 days and 3 nights, where he was in the darkness, where he was in a cave. And then Mary Magdalene found him after 3 days and 3 nights, where he was dressed as a gardener. Now, there's so many symbols in this story. It's very simple. Just a few words that I spoke here. Almost every single word here is a symbol. Let's dive into it. 3 days and 3 nights. This actually refers to the moon, who also has a cyclical nature. I'm saying also because we do as humans. We go through cycles of death, rebirth all the time, within our lives, but also within different lives, right? We come back to earth, we die, we go to the sun or to the life in between lives. I don't know how to call it, to the heavens. We observe our life, we, make comments about our life, the things that we learn, the things that we still want to learn, and we come back. There's a cyclical nature there. But so the moon goes through these cycles of death, rebirth, every single month. And when the moon is dark, so the new moon is exactly 3 days and 3 nights. In many ancient myths, you also have that in the myth of Inyana, who goes into the underworld for 3 days and 3 nights. It's very symbolic. Now, did he actually die for 3 days and 3 nights? Who knows? But it is very symbolic of a transformation, of an alchemical transformation, a change that is happening within and that is then going to be expressed without. And really keep in mind that when you see, read, or experience 3 days and 3 nights, it's really symbolic of the beginning of a new cycle, the end of a cycle, of course, and the beginning of a new cycle. And so the darkness is a code word for transformation, incubation, change. Everything is born out of the darkness. Every man is born from the dark womb of a mother. Every rose comes from the dark soil of the earth. Every moon cycle begins with the dark moon, the new moon. Darkness means transformation for to get ready for a new cycle. This is what darkness means. And I'm having a huge aha moment as I'm speaking this out loud, because last week I was in Morocco and I was driving. We did some horse riding and I was on a horse that was really dark. And her name was Layl, which means the night in Arabic. And I know how key this is of my own transformation, resurrection, rebirth journey that I am on. So I love it. So potent. And so after 3 days and 3 nights spending in the darkness, in the cave, cave is also a symbol for the womb of the mother, the earth. The cave comes from the earth. It's part of the earth. And a lot of masters were going to meditate in caves because they could connect with the deep, nurturing, loving energy from the earth. When we spend time in a cave, it's really the symbol as well of transformation. So it's just two different ways of saying the same thing. Cave and darkness, basically. It's feminine rebirth energies. And then Jesus appears as a gardener. Why? Because he's the gardener of the soul. He's tending to the flowers, to all the parts of us that need to bloom. It's deeply, deeply symbolic. It's the garden of your inner life. And so this resurrection that Jesus is going through is actually an invitation for each and every one of us to go through our own death rebirth journeys so that we can let go of the old, leave it where it belongs. Sit in the darkness, the unknown, this moment where we are in between the two, but we're letting that darkness transform us for 3 days and 3 nights. And then we come back with this new truth, this blooming of who we have become, this tending of our inner garden, and new truths that are coming through this new cycle that is beginning and that we need to take care of as the gardeners of our life. You could see it as the artists of our life as well, the masters of our lives. So many symbols in this resurrection story. And when you look at the word Easter, Easter finds its roots in an ancient goddess. It's a feminine word. As you might know by now, or as you are going to discover as you dive into my podcasts, a lot of the Christian faith and the Christian traditions actually find their roots in witchcraft, in pagan traditions, in goddess mysteries. And so the goddess that this is referring to is goddess Eostre, Ostara, Easter. Same. And the story of goddess Ostara or Eostre, depending in which language you speak it, is that she was running late for spring. And so she was running barefoot in the forest, in the snow, and suddenly she sees a little bird on the floor with frozen wings because they're frozen by the snow. And she picks up the little bird because she feels sorry for the little bird. And she's like, oh no, my darling, you're so beautiful, don't die. And she wants to save the bird because, of course, she's a goddess. So she's grounded in love and compassion and empathy. And so she picks up the little bird and she says, I'm going to breathe life back into you. And this is deeply connected to goddess Bridget, who also breathes lives into beings. It's connected to the Isis mysteries as well. But let's keep it at that for now. So she breathes lives into that little bird, who then transforms into a bunny. And the bunny, to thank Goddess Eostre for this new life, this new chapter, this new beginning, this new shape, it's literally shape-shifting, is laying eggs. Just like the bird would lay eggs, now the bunny is laying eggs. But bunnies are mammals, they don't lay eggs. But in this story they do. Why? Because it's a symbol. Because bunnies are the most fertile of all the animals. Bunnies are the only mammals that can get pregnant when they are already pregnant. Thank God we can't do that. One pregnancy at a time is intense enough. But so bunnies are incredibly fertile. This is why they are connected to the goddess. This is why we see so many pictures and drawings of goddesses with bunnies and with the moon, because the moon is connected to our fertility cycle. So really often Goddess Ostara is depicted with this bunny in her arms and the colored eggs. And she is transforming the bird into the bunny so that he can run away from the hunters. This is how they explain the whole story, but there is much more to it. Because now is a time of fertility. Now is a time to plant seeds and to grow life. Life is coming back. And so this is symbolized by the bunny, who is the most fertile of all the animals, can get pregnant when it's already pregnant. And the egg, of course. What is more like representing fertility more than eggs? This is referring to our own eggs, ovules. And so this is why we celebrate Easter with Easter eggs and bunnies. This is why we see everywhere in shops and in bakeries these little bunnies and chocolate eggs. This is where it comes from. It has nothing to do with Jesus. Jesus didn't have bunnies and eggs around him when he resurrected and came out of the cave as a gardener. No. This comes from the myth of Goddess Ostara, which is a pagan myth, which is part of the old religion, the religion that was present in old Europe and the Mediterranean before Christ. At the same time that the Jewish religion was starting to expand. So this is very, very, very ancient and is filled with symbolism. So as you're seeing now, we are really in a time of resurrection, of rebirth. And the deeper invitation of the time that is present now is to take a moment to pause for yourself and ask yourself, what am I letting in the past? What part of me has died? And what part of me is coming through now? What part of me wants to be in the light? What part of me wants to be nourished, tend to, like the gardener who would tend to the flowers so that the rose bush can be filled with roses when the time comes? So it's actually deeply feminine, the time that is present right now, because it's the beginning of a new cycle. It's no wonder that in the astrological calendar, we are in the Aries season now, and that's the beginning of the new year. And when you look at the Sumerian tradition, you see this resurrection mystery that is also present, because the symbol of the cross was already present at the time. So maybe you've already heard about Goddess Inyana. If you haven't, I did a whole episode on Goddess Inyana, who she was and her mysteries, which are also connected to this death rebirth journey. And Inyana was in love with the god Tammuz, the Sumerian god Tammuz. Tammuz is the god of fertility. And he went through a death rebirth journey as well, a resurrection as well. He was known to be a noble priest king who symbolically gave his life for his people. Sounds very similar to the Jesus story, right? And his blood was shed on the crops so that they could grow each year. Again, symbol of fertility and the continued cycles of life and death. And in the Sumerian tradition, they would grieve him also on Good Friday. And then he resurrected after 3 days and 3 nights. Here we go again. And he was anointed by the Holy Queen, which later we talk about the priestesses of Isis who would anoint their kings. and then Mary Magdalene, who found Jesus. The story just keeps repeating itself because it is the same story expressed in different ways by different characters, trying to teach the same wisdom, which is the resurrection of the soul. Nature is trying to teach us that too, because we just had the spring equinox, and now it's all about the return of the light and the sun and the spring. And so there's a sacrificial element here, a part of us that needs to die, is something that we need to leave behind to begin that new cycle. And again, these 3 days and 2 nights that are connected to the moon, the new cycles, and the cave. So I hope this is helping you see how important this time is for you right now in your life. Because, like we say in French, par la fenêtre ou par la porte, through the window or through the door, this wisdom is trying to come to you, to show you that it is time to let go of the old and to step into a new chapter where you can honor more of your soul, because deep down this has to do with your essence, the resurrection of who you are, the resurrection of your light, because you have the Christ consciousness within you. Jesus was not a special being. I mean, he was, because he had mastered certain things, but his potential lies in you. His frequency lies in you. The Christ consciousness is coming back through all of us today. And the more we can allow these death rebirth journeys to guide us, and this wisdom to activate us through the seasons, through the energies that are present, through the things that we experience in our life, because sometimes we can be aligned with the seasons. So you can be feeling like you are coming out of a long period in the darkness and in the cave, in the unknown, dying, a part of you dying. Or you might be feeling in full bloom already, and like that was you 6 months ago. So sometimes our cycles are not always aligned with nature, and we can go through smaller cycles within the bigger cycle. That's also possible. So really trust your intuition of like, where are you at right now? Are you aligned with these resurrections energies that are inviting you to resurrect your soul, express your light, come back out of the darkness, serve with your gifts, speak your truth, be your most authentic self, use your gifts in service of the highest good? Or are you still in the phase of like, I'm letting go right now, I'm in the darkness, I don't have clarity, and that's okay. Because if you're in that darkness, it's important to surrender, to trust the process. Okay, this is it for today. There's so much more I would love to share with you, but we really dive into all of that in depth inside the Sacred Roots Mystery School, which I am going to do a new cohort of. We are going to begin in September, so you still have time. But if you want to get on the waitlist to know when we are opening the doors, you can check the links that are in the show notes of this episode. And you can get on the waitlist so that you can be the first to know when we reopen the doors. Because this Sacred Roots Mystery School is really taking you on a death rebirth journey in and of itself. We begin in September, we finish in June. So Easter is there where we are rebirthing to our highest self, truly. And if in the meantime you would love to get in my world and some of my work, I have a free training available for you to help you reclaim your feminine energy. Because all of this rebirth journey, resurrection, soul alignment, coming really into your soul purpose has to happen through embodying your feminine, because the feminine is the one that transforms, that follows her intuition, that is a channel for the divine to, and for your soul to come through truly. And so the best place to begin is to watch actually this free training, which is called How to Reach Feminine Flow. And it's all about how to reclaim your feminine energy for more flow, more alignment, more abundance, more money in your life, more purpose. So if that's calling you, also check the link that is in the show notes of this episode. The training is free. It's an hour filled with practices, and there's a powerful abundance activation in it as well. So I highly, highly recommend for you to watch it if you're in a place right now in your life where you're tired of hustling, you're feeling exhausted, misaligned, you feel you're meant for more, you know you're meant to experience more, but it is not your reality right now. These are all signs of a lack of feminine embodiment. So I highly recommend that you sign up, save your seat, watch this training, and then this is going to be a way for us to be more connected and for you to get into my world. Again, it's free, so you have nothing to lose to sign up. All right, beautiful. I am so excited to be doing these episodes weekly for you again for the next 6 months for this new season of the Sacred Roots podcast. I will see you in the next episode, and I am leaving you really with this contemplation of what is dying today and what is birthing in my life, and what roses do I want to tend to? How can I be the gardener of my life? What are the things in my life that I really want to give my energy, my focus, my love to, so that these things can grow into thriving rose bushes? So much love to you.